let's share the screen. Screen one. Perfect. What do you think are the chances that we can hear ourselves? Type show link to drop link. Pin the message. And while we're waiting for all this excitement, let's start this on a phone so I can see what it looks like on a phone. And over here, we'll start this on a computer so that we can monitor the chat just a little bit. Yep, I hear sound, so it must be okay. I don't know where the sound's coming from. There it is. Okay, let's close that. And let's see if we can win one game of solitaire. What are the chances? It's looking good so far. Where are we? Oh, there you are. That's nice. What are the chances? Yeah, let's get another king out here. Once Upon a City. Hey, thank you for dropping in. We're not on the boat today. Something else got in the way, so we're going to. I'm going to spend the evening editing a cooking video. I liked your stream yesterday. I never did go back. Once Upon a City, I never did go back to look at your whatever it's called, island that I can't pronounce and can't remember. Images of the Snowy Owl, because I was down there taking pictures of it a week ago, and they've got a nice parking lot there now. I can't walk very far, and I was a little bit worried about parking. I'm down there all the time because the boat's down there. And the parking lot is perfect on the north side of Commissioners. And right across the street is the Snowy Owl and some of that other stuff. So we got some good pictures. We'll see if anybody buys them. They're taken for stock. So it was not interesting to see that as your thumbnail. And then, of course, the rest of the market. No one loved the market well. So let's see if we can finish, win this game of solitaire, and then we'll start editing. And the thing we're going to edit is biscuits and gravy. So biscuits and gravy is a southern U.S. Staple, apparently. Definitely, yeah. Editing is improvements to reality. Improvements to reality. I'm not really this cute, but the hat sells it, right? What was I saying? Oh, yes. So biscuits and gravy. Now, the only time I've had biscuits and gravy was either in Las Vegas or in Texas, or maybe in the California mountains there. And I like the taste. Hey, Kayla Boo, thanks for coming by. Appreciate that. Always good to see you. I love your games, especially with the heroines, women heroes, winning some of them. So it's always good to watch. You get to play the game without actually playing the game. Yeah. So I had biscuits and gravy. So biscuits and gravy is poor people's food. But I like the taste, and I wanted to do something from a breakfast vein, because it is a breakfast kind of food. And I bought a package of breakfast sausages that were well on their way to hitting their best before date. And I wanted to figure out what I could do with them. That was, hey, PK, thank you for coming by. We're not on the boat today. I'm going to just editing. So these breakfast sausages were well on their way to hitting their best before date, and I wanted to try it. So it was actually worked out pretty well. So let's put this aside. Now we've got an audience. So so cooking. So this is the footage from the let's get bigger icons here. Footage from the making of the biscuits and gravy, and it turned out kind of okay, except um, that cooktop that I'm using is very hot, and the pan that I'm using is not very thick, so it doesn't hold its heat well. And if you're not watching it, you end up with things that look like this. So that's a little bit overdone, and would taste gross, and obviously is not a good indicator of somebody having a clue as to what they're doing. So I ended up redoing that. So we got a bunch of footage of overdone bits of biscuits. So let's Adobe Premiere. I already created a new project. Let's drag in some video up to where. So basically, we don't want the video that didn't work. There's no point in it. I did look at it yesterday. I cooked that yesterday. I did look at it, and that's how I decided that I didn't like the footage. It wasn't worth using. So what we've got here is 91, 92. It's in the right order. That's good. We don't have the captain talking about it yet. I couldn't find my hat. In fact, I was going to be down on the boat today, so that was all packed up, ready to go, and never got there. So yeah, this was shot in 4K, as I keep saying, and I'm going to edit in HD. So it's a HD timeline, and what Premiere does is it takes the 4K footage and sticks it in the middle of an HD field. So here, let's find once it wakes up a little bit, we'll look at one of these clips, and you see what I'm talking about. So here I'm doing baking powder. Oh, I've got the logo in there. I got to start being careful about logos and copyrights and stuff like that. But we'll let that go for the time being. This is not worldwide yet. So here we are. We're mixing this up. And the reason for shooting in 4K is this is an HD window, but I can zoom out digitally. There we have the whole thing. I can zoom out digitally. This computer is slow. I guess what it's trying to do is just trying to conform all of these files. So here, this is good. And the other thing I came to the conclusion was biscuits are like scones. Now, I don't have an English background, but actually had scones at High Tea at the old mill in Toronto a couple of weeks ago, and remembered that I liked them. And one of my lives, not lives in YouTube lives, but lives in Cat's 9 Lives, when I talk about whether I'm a qualified cook or chef to any stretch of the imagination, I did spend years as a baker, both in a retail bakery, and it was a Scottish bakery, so it was aimed at Scottish recipes, and in commercial bakery, bread and stuff where we made the recipe for bread was 2 bags of flour and a box of shortening, and you put it in the machine for a gallon of milk, and you put it in the machine for half an hour, and that was enough bread to feed a few stores for the day. Anyway, so I realized that biscuits are really the same recipe as scones, and scones are pretty boring. So then at the High Tea, the scones had they had a variety of scones. So they had your basic plain scone, and they had scones with jalapeno in them, and scones with berries of some kind, maybe blueberries, maybe um, currants. So, but adding stuff to biscuits, to the biscuit dough, would not be traditional in an American sense. So when I look at these, where that's not, where's the scones? So the scones. So these could be scones for all intents and purposes. Right? Scones look exactly the same, and um, yeah. So scones, it's like American scones, right? Okay. So now we've got 14 minutes of footage. We want an 8-minute video out of all of this stuff. So what I'm going to do, what's this, is start with, normally I'd have the captain talking about how great it's going to be. So we don't have him recorded yet. Let's, so this is the finished scone. I don't know if I like this one better. Let's zoom out a little bit, get it in the middle of the screen. The white sauce, the white gravy is a pretty boring color, and I don't know if I like that one better. So I rearranged the scones a little bit, and I actually ate a piece of the sausage. Rearrange the scones a little bit. Here we don't see so much scone. This one's a little bit rougher looking, but we've got some sausage visible, and we've got some scone. So that's the one we're going to use. That's going to be part of our introductory image. Again, we'll duplicate that so we can work with them separately. And we're going to, hey, Caesar Mocha, thank you for coming. We're not on boats. I'm not going to say aboard, but thank you for coming to my live editing session. So on Saturday, I did an edit session. I was going to call it Saturday Night Live Edit. And then I figured that the Saturday night people might get upset. So had to change that. So I did call it Saturday Night Edit Live. Well, that's almost the same thing. Okay, so here we are. We've got that. We don't need the soundtrack for this. Let's get rid of it. And so we're putting that down. How many seconds is this? 6 seconds is plenty. Okay, so that's our intro food. And then we're going to have an intro of cooking as well. So what is a good... Is it the biscuits that are more important, or is it the gravy? Now, again, the gravy is boring as hell. So, am I allowed to say hell? Yeah, see, that's kind of boring. So let's take a small shot of biscuit photo. Take this, we'll put it, copy it, we'll put it at the end so that we can... okay, how come there's no sizzle? Well, I guess there's no sizzle once it's been cooked to that extent. Maybe we'll put some sizzle in just to... And how many seconds we want? We want like 5 seconds of this. 12 seconds. We don't need 12 seconds. There's 7. There's 6. Okay, so I want some action. That's 6 seconds. Okay, so that's good. So let's take this and bring it to the beginning of the clip. And we have... So we've got the finished product. We've got the making of it. Now, I'm not happy with the color of this. This is kind of gray looking. I wonder, should we cheat? Let's see if... Ooh, that's even bluer, right? So making it bluer is not the white balance. Let's just make the white balance a little bit more yellow. I don't like that either. Let's go with the white balance here. So this is a gray for sure. And it barely changed. So the color is right because this is all shot with an LED light. And the LED light is is color balanced for video production. So we're going to cheat. We're just going to make it a bit yellower. That's too yellow. But this way, it's a little bit more, the skin still looks a decent color. We want to do the same here. Okay, let's copy this and make this the same color. See if it gets too yellow. Yeah, a little bit too much. So let's cut it back a bit. It's still, it's the flour is white. No, it's so biscuits and gravy. After extensive research on the internet and a little trip into AI, biscuits and gravy is made with a sausage gravy. And as when I've had it in wherever in the South I was, I never really analyzed what was in it. But apparently the idea is you take sausage, cut it open so you have the meat's exposed, fry it up, and then add flour and milk or cream to create the gravy. So it's a meat-based gravy. Okay, so now we've got that, and now we're going to make this. So here we are, and I'm going to try to actually record some of the voiceover once we've gone through this the first time. Okay, so we're going to let's zoom out a little bit. Going to put 2 cups of flour. And we're going to mix the flour with some baking powder. Okay, we don't need all of that stuff. Mix, mix, mix. We're going to put some salt. Mix, mix, mix. So that's 36 seconds of mixing. That's not too bad. And then we're going to, okay, so that is 75% zoomed out. That's 76%. Let's go back to 75. So that's consistent. Four, 5, 4. When you've got the bigger screen size, it and you're trying to zoom out virtually, then part of the trick is making the zoom work properly. Okay, so here we're mixing this. Now we're going to add a cup of milk. And I didn't add enough milk, so I had to cheat and add some later. So I'm going to say that in the voiceover, but we're going to add some milk. And then we're going to add some oil. So the traditional scone and the traditional biscuit is made with lard or shortening. And lard is great because it lard in a pie shell is makes a very, very flaky pastry, and lard in this does the same. But my objective was to use something that that didn't need a lot of storage. And lard is a pain to store, and shortening is the same. And I'd have oil for everything else, so we're going to make with oil. And I did find a few recipes of people talking about using oil in different combinations. So I ended up making my own version of this. What are we up to? A minute of stirring. That's way too much. So let's see. We'll probably cut that back a bit. More stirring. Okay, we don't need more stirring. 1 stirring is enough. Okay, I added a bit more milk there. That's important to mention. That when you're cooking this, you should check the consistency. I don't know what the consistency is. It's sort of like pie dough consistency, but not quite the same. Okay, we don't need this one, so I'm going to remove this from my list. Reveal. It is number 95. You're gone. Yes, you're gone. And we're going to delete that from the list of available images so we can keep track of what we're doing here. 95, your toast. don't want to delete it yet. I want to keep it around in case I need to bring it back. So I'll just rename it. And because some of these with Zs are because they were the burnt versions, this one is been deleted because of the I don't need it. So I wanted to just keep that separate by giving it 2 Zs. 1 Z, 2 Zs, any number of Zs will do. Okay, so then we're going to take this and here, again, let's go back, same 75% zoom. Yeah, that's good. We see the oil. Now, I read people using olive oil because olive oil does have a nicer taste. This is just canola oil. And my objective is to, again, talk about using common ingredients to make some of the stuff. Okay, so let's get some flour on the board. Let's zoom out to 75% again. Seems that we're working with 75%. Yeah, olive oil is, it has its own special taste. It's like $1 gazillion for a bottle. And I decided that in the end, I can't tell the difference. Now, is my palate the one that we're going to use to judge all this? Yep, because I'm stuck with me. So olive oil is great, and I think in one of my first recipes, I brought olive oil down to the boat just to use olive oil because it sounds so nice to talk about olive oil. But garden variety canola or sunflower oil, just as good. Okay, so we're taking it out, we're spreading it out. Let's move it up a little bit, move it over a little bit. The beauty of digital zooming. Okay, we don't need all of that, just watching the flour on the board. And we're going to go through here, mish that around, and make it into a 1-inch thick layer. Now, this is when I decided, this is when it hit me that this was scones. Scones are typically not round. The biscuits are typically round. So everybody's recipe on the internet talks about how to cut your scones round, and we get everything from biscuit cutters to people using tomato sauce cans that they've cleaned out to make a round cutter, cookie cutters. And when I would make scones on an industrial scale, we had a machine that was, I think it was called a divider. And you would put maybe 10 pounds of dough on this thing. It had a table that was around 2 feet around. And you'd put a big blob of dough on it with a bit of flour. And then it had sharp edges that came down and cut. Now, they were arranged in a circle, so it would cut 48, I think, pieces of dough in one setting, and it would do some other stuff. The plate shook from side to side, and it would round the edges, and we used that for making dinner rolls as well. So I decided I'm not going to bother with all of the tricks for using a round cookie cutter. I'm going to just use a spatula, my trusty green spatula. This way, cut that out, and cut this into pieces with the spatula. And that, if you can imagine this being round, is what my scones would have looked like in the bakery. And we're going to put some oil in there, a little drop of it. And I think this clip is from when I burnt them. So I didn't record it all over again. Maybe not, because I don't remember spreading it all out. We're going to spread the oil out so it's all over the place. We don't need 12 seconds of that. 8 seconds is plenty. And then we will put these pieces of dough in there. And the more I did this, the more they looked like scones. Now, scones are typically done in an oven. And I the oven on the boat doesn't work, first of all. I've still got to figure out how to fix that. I've been saying I've got to fix that for about a year. Still haven't dealt with it. The other thing that's wrong with an oven is an oven uh, in a boat uh, range or boat stove takes forever to heat up because there's a lot of empty air. So you're using a lot of gas, propane, to heat up this empty space. And what I wanted to do was make scones in a stovetop skillet. And the bit of research says that people have done that, so I'm not the first. And the challenge is to um, fry them on both sides evenly, so that they're cooked all the way through. Now, I was originally going to make them thinner, but for some reason that didn't happen. And the thickness is about an inch, maybe more than that, maybe as thick as my thumb. And as I said, the first time I wasn't paying attention and I managed to burn them. It only took about a minute, and they got burned. If I was doing this in a different kitchen environment, I might say use a Dutch oven, like one of the cast iron Le Creuset things, um, because they hold the heat and they don't heat up fast. Oh, how long was that? Um, 2 seconds is plenty. Um, Hey, Grizzly Warrior, thank you for coming by. I just watched you catching a fish. At the end, I said it looks like dinner. I don't know whether you ate it or whether you're a catch and release person, but looked like a good fish to me. And yeah, so the challenge is to get them to fry evenly on each side. And I think I then cheated later on and put them on the other side. Okay, we don't need to see that moving them around. So here I took a pair of tongs and flipped them all over. Okay, that's not true. At that point, they weren't done enough. So maybe I'll keep that because I do want to say that it's not the greatest. You don't really see the lack of brownness there, but let's keep it anyway. So we'll talk about the whole challenge of in my voiceover, the whole challenge of baking them in a frying pan. And this is something. This is what Grizzly Warrior would do. Your cooking is sort of the same, if I remember correctly. So again, thank you for coming by. So here we look at it. Okay, so now we're looking at them, and we decide that the color is nice. Let it sit for a few minutes. Okay, so we got to have a few seconds there of after I put it down, as if we're waiting, because we did wait about a minute, I guess, before I turned them over again. And so now we're going to turn some. Oh, let's start the action. Cut on the action. Me and Robert Redford. He's a great director. And I couldn't remember where I first saw him, but he was in Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, I think. Yeah, I think he was in Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid. Okay, so now we're going to turn them all over. We don't really need all of that footage. Can't remember, why don't I not have more, or did I just? Oh, then I decided I was going to use the spatula to. And let's. Okay, here we're looking at it. Now the color is nice. Okay, I'm not going to do all of that. I'm going to use the spatula because once I decided that they were done enough, I didn't want to spend a minute turning them over, and doing it with just the tongs ended up being too long. So that's 21 seconds. Let's cut out a couple seconds of this. We don't need to see the, is that good? Good, and close it again. The reason for closing it is to keep the heat in with a very low heat on the okay, so I did that again because I wasn't sure I had a good video of that. Okay, so we don't need this piece. Let's get rid of it. It's duplication number 122. You're gone. Yes. Where is number 122? Where is my 122? Where are you? 122, 126, 122. There you are. So it's more turning over stuff. That's not that exciting. And so we've turned it over. We've closed the lid. Okay, we don't need all of this turning over. We can get rid of half of it. But I do want the closing of the lid. That's good. Close it to there. And here, so this is 100% zoom. And I like that because it's close up. I really want to see that. Maybe it should be over to the right just a little bit more to make it fast. I just need a sip of water here. Too much talking. What's our time like? Say 11:30. Pardon me. Now, cook. Turn. Okay, we don't need more turning. It's all the same turning. You don't really see any difference, right? We don't need this one. Sometimes I don't have enough footage. Sometimes I have too much. Number 124, you're gone. Let's get rid of number 124. Where is number 124? 124, 127, 124. You're gone. Oops, let's put a double Z there so I can remember why they've been deleted. And okay, so we close it. I do want to, because I want to talk about a little bit about the taking your time and turning frequently to prevent burning. And what I'm doing, see here, I'm cheating. I'm actually doing some of the sides a little bit. It didn't really help that much. So I'm going to, but I'm going to keep that. Let's just check something. Okay. So now we're up to 4 minutes of cooking. And, oh, pardon me, itchy mustache. And, okay, so now we're going to take them out of the pan. We don't need 22 seconds. That was actually 30 seconds. How many seconds is left? 20 seconds for taking stuff out of a pan. And for here, we're going to zoom out a little bit because we want to get more of the plate. And pardon me. I'm going to put that aside. So now we're going to do the sausage. And my objective was to cut up the sausage. Again, I didn't see this in anybody else's recipe, so this is my own variation. Cut the sausage into small pieces and cut it lengthwise so that it fries well. Now, the other thing that that's worth mentioning, because it's interesting, I guess, maybe not, is that this is chicken sausage, maple leaf chicken sausage. Why? Because they were on sale. And I think let's just rotate this a little bit so that it fits better on the screen. That's nice. The objective is to get the meat out into the frying pan so that it browns nicely, and that the flavor of the meat gets into the gravy. So 36 seconds. That's a bit long. Okay, I'm a notoriously slow cutter, so let's speed this up. 140%. Seems to work well when we're cutting onions. Yeah, it still looks natural. Okay, so we've cut that. Pork. The traditional recipes, I think, all call for pork sausage, which I did not have. I have some nice spicy Italian sausage, but I figured that the spice would overpower any other flavor, so I did not do that. Okay, so now we're going to mix that around, let it brown. We're covering it to reduce spatter and still mixing it around. Again, do I need 3 times the same thing here? How many times do I need to have? Okay, so what we're going to do is I'm going to take out. Good, we've got a lid being opened there. We're going to remove these two, 130 and 129. 130 and 129. 130, 129. You're gone. 130 and 129. Where's my files? 130, 130, 130, 129. If I don't have close to 8 minutes of a finished program, I can always put some of this stuff back to as filler to make it longer. But here I'm stirring it. And now I'm stirring it even more. It's getting nice and brown. Okay, I'm not sure what I did there. I think I was getting bored and I hit record. So let's get rid of that one. What number is this guy? Can't read it. It's number 133. You're gone. Let's take out 133. Where is 133? And some of this may end up being stock footage. If Adobe and Shutterstock have accepted some of my cooking video that people might use in creating other videos. So, does the world need stock video of cooking sausage? It probably does. If it needs stock video of any other crap that you find. Okay, so here it's raw, and now it's cooking. We're mixing it around. Okay, so how many seconds is this program now? It's still 10 minutes. So we've got enough room that we can afford to get rid of this. I like that better. So we got the start of that. We got this. We don't need this one. Let's see, reveal and project. It is number 132. You're gone. And again, we'll do exactly the same thing. We'll find it. 132. Is that what it just said? I can't remember what I just deleted. 131, 134. So it must have been 132. 132. If I delete something that is actually being used by Premiere, it will complain, and then I have to bring it back, which is a real pain. Well, it didn't complain yet. No, it didn't complain yet. Okay. So here we've got raw. We're mixing it. It's got a cover. Okay, that's nice. So it's not centered properly, but it's nice. It got some nice color to the sausage there, and got some nice sizzle going. We got me moaning, groaning. Can't remember why. Okay, let's pick that up here. That cuts out me leaving it, letting out a sigh. Okay, so it's sizzling less because it's getting hot. Now we're going to put in some flour, and we're going to brown the flour. Now, it didn't get as brown as it should have. Okay, we're mixing that. Okay, stop where the action stops. And now we're going to start it over here. I guess the sizzle is gone because all the oil has been absorbed by the flour. We're adding some milk. And in my mind, it was going to be 2 cups of milk, I think. And it should have been 3. So in my ingredients list and in my dialogue, I'm going to talk about it being 3 cups of milk. The fact we only see 2, we're adding some pepper. I'm always afraid to add too much salt. It's easy to add more salt, very hard to take it out. Okay, so this is mixing the same thing. See, it's not thick enough there. And here it's turning a nice thickness. So let's, pardon me, let's leave that in. We'll get it to line up properly. It's not quite. Let's get rid of the last second. I guess I jiggled something there. Okay, so we got a jump cut, but we'll deal with that by zooming in out properly. So what are we up to now? We're up to 9 minutes and 4 seconds. Perfect. So that's nice. We got that. We're going to put that back in here. So this, when I set this up on the table, I wanted to have, so you got a little bit too thick there. So it really needed a bit more milk. Okay, there's a bit of a jerk of the camera there. Not sure why. Okay, can we zoom out a little bit more? Okay, we're serving out the what we're going to do here is we're going to set a keyframe, and then once we start here, we're going to set another keyframe, and we're going to move up so that we see more of the scooping of the gravy. Okay, we don't need to see the empty plate. And we agreed that this is a better looking image than this one. So we've been talking for 45 minutes, so we're going to have time to start the dialogue, and I'll record some of that while I'm live. It basically means that you're going to hear me say, I'm going to say, add 2 cups of flour, and then I'm going to record add 2 cups of flour. Perfect. And we're saying we're not going to use this one. Let's get rid of it. It is number 141. You're gone. 141. Let's put it out of its misery. 137, 141. Yeah, last one. Okay, so that is our recipe. Let's see. Yeah, I like that. That woven placemat has stood the time well. So here we're going to do this. So what I'm going to do now, I don't know how I'm going to actually do this. Can I make this smaller? I've never tried this. Because what I want to do is, okay, that works. I want to, let's zoom out the timeline a little bit. I want to write my dialogue for the voiceover. And so this was my notes for the making of the recipe. I'm going to have intro. And the intro will say something like that, like, as I said earlier, I had biscuits and gravy. Thank God for spell checkers. In the southern U.S. a few years ago. Now it's more than a few years, but hey, nobody's counting. A few years ago, a wonderful breakfast, taste, and very filling. Hey, Susanna Morzone, thank you for coming aboard. Thank you for coming aboard. We're not on the boat today. We're editing a cooking video, and we'll probably be up for another half an hour anyway. Usually cooking videos take me half an hour, but I'm going to add to this the creating the voiceover and the dialogue track. So here, let's make this a bit smaller so that it fits. Can we make this a bit smaller so that I got room for... I think I can. I don't really want to change my layout here, because if I do, then it affects it the next time I open it. So I just want to make it smaller. I don't really want to change the layout. So this is my intro. I had biscuits and gravy in the southern states, southern U.S. a few years ago. Wonderful breakfast taste and very filling. Biscuits are usually baked in an oven, but I want to make them in a skillet because heating And oven, this might be too much dialogue. Oven will take way too much gas. And then I can talk about the risks of burning stuff later on. I'm going to make them in a stovetop stove, and this is going to be my my title as well: stovetop biscuits. And let's cook. That was an amazing taste and so simple to make if you don't burn it in the process. Hey, Once Upon a City, you're still here. Thank you for hanging around. Really do appreciate the support. Yeah, Susanna, I've been following her for a long time. It's always interesting watching, even when she's got a whole live of just being asleep, which seems to be a new thing. I've seen a few people doing that. My good friend Arizona Jake, who isn't here today, I came across him sleeping last time. So it's a thing. Now, okay, so now we've got the introduction. Let's go off, and we don't need all of that. And okay, what are we going to start with? I'm going to do the ingredients here so I can, I can remember what they are. So we've got 2 cups flour, and I think this is all-purpose flour, but bread flour, any flour will do. And how much do we put in here? I'm going to verify the amount of baking powder. 1 teaspoon baking powder. And 2 cups milk. 1 cup oil. Okay, so we'll come back to this later on, but I wanted to start the ingredients list so that I don't forget it. I guess the advantage of not minimizing this is the slider might disappear. Okay, so now what's my instructions? Let's start with 2 cups of flour into a bowl. All-purpose flour or bread flour, or even whole wheat if you prefer. And I did see a few people suggesting whole wheat flour in the interest of nutrition and taste as well. The whole wheat has a taste that I do not prefer. Add a teaspoon of baking powder. And mix that well. So I'm saying this as I'm writing this. Normally, if I wouldn't be talking to myself if nobody was listening. And then I'm actually going to go through and read it in a more measured tone and try to get rid of this frog in my throat. And record that onto the timeline here and mix that well. Okay, so what have we done here? We mixed that well. We've done, okay, 2 cups of milk. Mix it well. Add 1 cup of oil. This is Actually, I think I was down to sunflower oil because of flower oil, but olive oil will add a finer taste. Now, the thing is, the taste of any advantage to olive oil is going to be wiped out by the gravy that's overloaded with the fried sausage. So it's if somebody wants to use olive oil, be my guest. Okay. A bit more milk. The dough should be, what's a good description? Should be fairly dense, like bread dough. This implies that you know what bread dough feels like. But not sticky. So you don't want it to be sticky to the touch. And we're going to mix well and turn out onto a flour covered board about 1 inch thick. And I like using American measurements because a good chunk of my audience is American, and it's much easier to say inch than centimeter. And how many is an inch? Is 2.5 centimeters. So it gets complicated. About 1 inch thick. Spread it out and smooth. Flip over so to get a bit of flour on the other side. So I hope I didn't cut out the part about flipping it over, right? So here we are. We put it out. We're squishing it. Oh, what happened to the flipping over? Oh, I didn't flip it over. I just added some flour on the other side. Okay. I think the first time when I burnt them, I did flip them over. Obviously, that didn't help them any. A bit of flour on top, on the top side. As well. So now we are going to so at this time it struck me that this is the same recipe and process as making scones. I have made scones with a dividing machine before. I don't know. I'm starting to ramble here. I'm going to have to change this. A spatula will do that perfectly for this small quantity. Yeah, I'm not sure about that sentence. That was a little bit, I'm not sure where I was going with it. This time I started the same as baking scones. I don't know. Nah. If you want them to be perfectly round, use a cookie cutter by all means. But that means you need to knead the dough, the leftover bits of dough, to not waste them. Right, when you make cookies, you end up with all the pieces that are in the middle of the cookie cutters. Yeah, I agree with you. I agree with you. I do it once, and then I watch it on my phone sort of at night and see if I like what I said. And it's always easy to with this editing system to add or take out bits and pieces of words. Here's bits of dough. I don't know if I like this. If you want them to be perfect circle, be perfectly round. That was what that word was supposed to be. Use a cookie cutter by all means, but that means dealing with. Anyway, that sentence is going to have to get improved by the time we get around to reading it. Okay, so now, if you want to blah blah blah. Okay. Cut into pieces about 2 inches square-ish, because they're not squares, right? But 2 inches square-ish. Cut it. Okay. What's going on here? Okay, we got a bunch of dead air here, so let's take this out. It's only 2 seconds, but still I'm staring at it and waiting for something to happen. Okay, so the spatula is coming in there. A bit of oil into the pan. Okay, I forgot a line here. So now we have to talk about the stovetop. Hey, Trekking with Deb and Mike, thank you for coming aboard. Thank you for coming aboard. Really appreciate that. We're not on the boat today. We're editing a video of biscuits and gravy, Southern style biscuits and gravy. So hopefully it's true to the heritage of the South. Cutting pieces. I want to make these in a skillet. I like that word. On a stovetop, not an oven. Because I talked about why I didn't want to use the oven up front. Yeah, as I say, I'm not from the South. I've had biscuits and gravy a few times, and I can't remember if it was Florida, Texas, or Las Vegas. And I did like the taste, and I was looking for a breakfasty, sort of a hearty breakfasty kind of thing. And we'll see if what feedback I get. So a bit of oil into the pan. This is a fairly thin non-stick frying pan, which unfortunately makes it hard to control the temperature and avoid burning. And we'll come back to that as well. Hey, Paula Love, thank you for coming by. Thank you for coming by. One of the many faces of Paula. For a while there, I thought you were all different people, but it's always the same Paula. The non-stick. So today we're cooking, doing a cooking video, not on the boat today. Got something that came up and I ended up spending more time dealing with that and no time to get down there. Okay, so now we've got, okay, so it's a little under the pan. Spread it out evenly. Okay, so now then what am I doing? And place the cut biscuits in a single layer. Okay, so here, they can touch and should not stick together. Cover them to keep the heat in, like an oven, right? Because in an oven, the heat stays in there and you get the heat on the top as well. Let's check to see if they are getting done. Not yet. Okay, and then we're going to, okay, so now they are getting nicely browned. Check often to avoid burning the dough. As I said, I did manage to burn one lot of it, and had to mix it all up again. Like kind of getting nicely browned. Okay, so they're getting nicely browned. Where is that? Flip them over. Cover for more baking. And I even flipped them on their edges, but that is probably not necessary. I don't know where I'm going to have enough time for this. A heavy cast iron Dutch oven would work better, but that is just one more item to store in a small kitchen galley. So a little bit of a nod to the boat people. Probably not necessary. Okay, let's fix some of the spelling here. I mean, it's only for me when I'm reading it, but when I've discovered that if I see the typo underlined, it breaks up the rhythm. So might as well fix the spelling properly as we go. Okay, so now what have we done? We flipped them over. Nicely done. About 8 minutes in all. So I think that's what the whole everybody on the internet is recommending, about 8 minutes of baking, 8 to 10 minutes. At one point, I thought I would then throw the sausages in and fry them with the biscuits to make it really like a one-pot meal. But I think you do want the biscuits to be separate because you want them to stay dry and crispy and not soak up all of the gravy right away. So 8 minutes 40 seconds. So we've cut out a few seconds of stuff there, and let's set them aside to make the gravy in the same pan. And again, I'm hot on using only one pan because you only have one pan to wash. And here we've gone from this leaves very little mess. The gravy is based on the sausage. I had breakfast sausages. As I said, they were chicken sausages, not pork sausages. I'm not going to mention that because that's really only because they have to be there and they were getting reaching their best before date. Set them aside. Sausage, meat, flavor. At breakfast sausages. So that is what I am using. Cut them into small pieces and slice a few in half to expose the meat so it releases all of its flavor as it browns. Oops. Breakfast sausages. So that's what I had. Okay. And this was about a half pound. 1/2 pound Did I put that into my ingredients? No, 2 cups oil. So now, baking powder, 1 cup oil. So now we've got 1/2 pound sausage, and it's uncooked sausage. Uncooked. This won't work if you use something like a pepperoni. Uncooked sausage. And let's fix the spelling there. Okay, so now there is the burns. Okay. Brown, but do not allow to burn. Okay, what happened to the piece where I'm squishing? Oh, okay, here we're squishing it. Squish down to force out, to release the juices. And turn over again. Smells great. Okay, we're up to 1 hour and 16 minutes. So we'll stop in 1 hour and a half. And I think that'll be great. Well, in terms of, I'll just be finished with this and maybe we'll start recording some of it. Okay. Add, okay, so how much flour did I add in here? I think, does it show? Let's just cheat. No, it was a cup of flour. No, it wasn't a cup of flour. I'd have to, let's look at this. If we lower this down, do we see the mark on the thing? No, we do not. I believe it was a 1/2 cup of flour. Add 1/2 cup flour to the sausages and let that brown. Now, I did not actually let it brown enough. 1/4 cup of flour. Oh, here we are. Okay, so now we are going to let that brown. Okay, so here's where I made a mistake. Let that brown. Add 3 cups of milk. 3 cups of milk. Three cups of milk. About 1/2 teaspoon pepper. Okay, where am I putting the salt on? I don't think I put salt on until the end. To say there's a lot of salt in the a lot of salt in the sausage already. So we'll do salt to taste at the end. One-half teaspoon pepper, salt to taste. I don't know if I recorded putting on the salt. Okay, so we're mixing that. It will thicken quickly. Again, low heat so it does not burn. And let's say very low heat. I didn't burn my gravy, but burnt gravy is gross. And then you've wasted all of your meat. Okay. Let's serve that out. Now here, so do I put salt on anywhere? Biscuits, gravy. I don't think I've got, I'm just going to move this over so I can look at it to see whether, no, I don't have me putting any salt on. Biscuits and gravy, salt to taste. So I don't have the salt on here. I think I did that in another shot. I don't know why I don't have it. Enjoy. Okay, so now we have, let's save this. Okay, so what I'm actually going to, while we're all online, and hey, Jake, thank you for coming by. I was just watching you earlier. We did not go to the boat today. Something else came up, so I thought I would spend a bit more time than usual editing a cooking video of biscuits and gravy. And you're from the south. I guess you were doing your own thing. Jake does a wonderful exercise thing that I get tired just watching him. Spirit in the Sky Blue, thank you for coming by. Yeah, doing great here. So this is my takeoff on biscuits and gravy with a few liberties. It'll be live Thursday, I guess, tomorrow. So we'll see what feedback I get as to whether it's yeah, Once Upon a City. It should be uploaded tomorrow, 11:30ish or so. And hey, go with the flow. Yeah, thank you for coming by. Is it still raining at your place? I did not get to the boat today. The something else came up that took more time than I had planned. So here we are editing biscuits and gravy. So what I want to do in my last few minutes of time here is read the ingredients list and then add my ingredients to the end of the clip here. And the reason I want to do that, let's just save this so that it doesn't run into any issues. And let's just save this, is that it affects the length of the video. Yeah, that's what you're seeing now. Here is the final results of the gravy. The gravy is a little bit of blue looking, so I think I cheated a bit and made it a bit more yellow. But we'll come back to that later. Okay, so let's record. Let's record the ingredients. I'm going to turn off the sound on the computer so I don't get an echo in here, but that should still allow people to hear what I have to say to the extent that anybody wants to hear it. And let's read this ingredients here. So this is all correct, right? 2 cups of flour plus 1/4 cup flour, 1 teaspoon baking powder, 2 cups milk plus 3 cups milk, 1 cup oil, 1/2 pound uncooked sausage, 1/2 teaspoon pepper, salt to taste. So that's all my ingredients. Okay, we're going to hit the little microphone button on this thing here. It's going to give me a countdown, and I'm going to record. Ingredients: 2 cups flour plus 1/4 cup flour, 1 teaspoon baking powder, 2 cups milk plus 3 cups milk, 1 cup oil, 1/2 pound uncooked sausage, 1/2 teaspoon pepper, salt to taste. Let's stop the recording and let me just go back and check whether I used a cup of oil or a 1/4 cup of, or a 1/2 cup of oil. Might have been a 1/2 cup of oil. Let's just go back and look at this. There's milk. Okay, so that's the size of a 1 cup. Yeah, it was only a 1/2 cup of oil. Okay. Do we see the, let's just, now see, in this set of measuring spoons, I don't see the dimensions. The other set that I have, the dimensions are easier to see. So let's reread this part. Where did it go? And we're still on no sound. So it's 1/2 cup oil. Let's record that. 1/2 cup oil. Okay, so that's my my dialogue for the recipe section of this. Let's turn on the sound on the computer again. Let's get this out of the way. Let's bring this back to full screen. And yeah, we didn't screw that up. So here, see, that's kind of blue. And what I did is I cheated a bit and made it a bit yellower just by changing the light. And I think it probably needs a bit more exposure as well. That looks a lot nicer. So the colors are nice. We see the browning of the sausage. We see the browning. Yeah, I like it. I like it. I like it. Okay, so what we're going to do here is drag this out to the end. We're going to actually put it here. Later on, the captain has to be speaking in between here. So let's see what this sounds like. I'm going to record. Ingredients. Let's make sure. So where is the word ingredients? Ingredients. Okay, get rid of that. And then I'm going to bring that into here. And then where did I say 1/4 cup oil? Where's the oil? Oil is the 5th item, 6th item, so it's about here somewhere. 1 cup oil. Okay, so we don't want 1 cup of oil. We want a 1/4 cup of oil. Let's get rid of that. 1/2 cup oil. That's a bit longer. Oil. 1/2 pound uncooked sausage. 1/2 teaspoon pepper. Salt to taste. Okay, so that's that. So now let's save this. I'm going to go, because I don't like reinventing the wheel. I have a template, if you want to call it that, of how I want the recipe, the ingredients to be presented. So let's go look at our liver and tomatoes from last week. And basically what we're looking for is this piece. So here we are. This is the ingredients there. We're looking for that file, that file. Let's grab this. And let's grab that. And that's simply my seagulls. And let's close this. And let's paste this at the end here so that we can find it again. Let's get rid of that. Okay, so now what we've got is ingredients. And now the ingredients themselves are going to come from here. So do I want the, because I'm using flour twice, right? Once in the dough and once in the sauce. So I'll leave it like that. That's good. Okay, it's going to be that long, so that's I need this long enough to cover the audio of me reading it, and then we're going to have our friends the seagull sound in here. Salt to taste. Those seagulls. Okay, now we're 9 minutes and 7 seconds, and we still don't have the captain talking about how good it's going to be. So I'm going to wrap up. I'm actually going to maybe do a little bit more work on this in terms of fixing some of the ingredients and read the rest of the voiceover, and then I'll put it on my phone and watch it at the end of the evening to see if I'm happy with the pacing. 9 minutes is long, so here, so I'm turning this over a bunch of times. Does it really need? Okay, so how many minutes? We're from 4:03 to 4:50. We've got 50 seconds of turning. That's actually not that bad because it is kind of an important part. So we got the frying. This is probably too long for putting the stuff in. 41 seconds of putting stuff in. That's probably too long, right? Look at the amount of time I'm spending in between here fiddling with this stuff. I can't really make it faster because then the hand movement looks unrealistic. So it's something I'm going to have to deal with. So let's put this aside and let me pull the plug on this this live, and then take a break and work on the rest of this because I do want to upload this before noon to tomorrow. So let's go end stream. Yeah, let's end the stream.